You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor. This is
Hello.
a case of Jones versus Jones.
Thank you, Jerome.
You're welcome.
Good day, everyone. Ms. Jones, you claim your father, Mr. Jones, doubts paternity of you and 2 other possible siblings. Now, Mr. Jones, you argue you were a rock star, running around with many different women and have reason to doubt all 3 children are yours. 2 of your other children by 2 other women have also been tested and are waiting outside of the courtroom. Now, Ms. Jones, why is it so important for you to prove paternity?
I feel that it's a spit in my face and a disrespect to me and my mother, because I'm 37 years old. So all of a sudden, 37 years later, you need a test. When all the children that he had in his lifetime, my mother was the only one he was married to. And I think it's, I think it's a joke,
Mr. Jones, I need to ask you, why is it so important for you to prove paternity, and why do you have doubts?
Well, Your Honor, I ain't getting no younger, and I have health issues, and I don't tell how long I'm gonna be here, and I have doubt because I just never had paternity tests done on none of them, and for her mom, she had a male associate that was always over their house, and her parents didn't allow me to come over to the house because they didn't like me because I was poor, but she let this other guy go over there all the time.
So there was another guy
yes, ma'am.
that always...
Well, she don't know nothing about this other guy. She wasn't even born.
Why do you think he's denying paternity? What do you think?
His lawyer told him he needed a DNA test in order to leave his kids in the will. He ought to be ashamed of himself that he has all these kids with all these different women. You know what I'm saying? My mama's not up here because she got 8 kids. I think he's coming into his 60s, and he's catching all of a sudden you got the case of morality, and you want to see, you hoping that some of these kids are not yours, so you won't feel bad about not being there. Just say what it is. You know what I mean? That's all it is in my eyes, and I think it's an ultimate disrespect.
How many other possible children do you have?
Your Honor, I might have 7 kids by 7 different women. I'm not ashamed of that. I was young, I was wild. I mean, that it is what it is. I love them. They're beautiful kids.
He didn't request the other kids to come up here. Look, he just requested, But it's a shame that it's only 3 of us up here. But you got the case of morality, and I want to know if these are my babies or whatever. He should have had everybody up here, and it ain't 7. He should have had everybody up here. Why did it just have to be us 3?
We have 2 other adults that are here that claim that they may be his children as well. We have Mr. Edwin, who's 29, and he's never met you. But he may be your son.
He may be my son, yeah.
And we have Miss Hobson, who's 24, and she's only seen you 1 time.
Only 1 time.
I took her to go see him.
Well,
I took her on my own dime. And he even told me he doubted her because her mother was messing around with his best friend, who she's also married to. But see, her stepfather is a very nice man. They sent her to Texas, and I brought her down there to Georgia to meet her black family because she didn't know she was black. And then when I took the girl down there, he only spent 2 hours with us. My grandmother had to chew him out to come see us because he was about to haul
So, Mr. Jones, is this true? You didn't take any time to spend with
2 hours.
Children? You haven't even met Mr. Edwin. What is that about?
He was running behind my mama.
I stay on the road. I stayed in the band most of my adult years traveling.
Dad, you are not Quincy Jones. Quit saying that. You've been saying that for years.
So, Mr. Jones, you have 2 other adults that are outside this courtroom, Ms. Hobson and Mr. Edwin, and you're not sure if they're yours either.
No, I'm not sure.
What are the circumstances surrounding that?
Mr. Edwin, his mom came to the bar where I was performing at. And after we got to performing, we got together and went to her place and laid up. And I hadn't seen her no more in about 7 months. So she came back to the club while I was playing that. She was all big and pregnant. She came up to the stage and told me she didn't want to have no baby. And I said, well, I don't want you to have no baby either. So she reached up there and slapped me, and I let her slid with that. And so 2 months later, her sister came and told me, you should come over and look at the baby boy because it could be yours. And I went over there, Lord and behold, that's a little baby boy, brown skin. I said, well, it might be mine, but I wasn't sure. jumped on the bandwagon and took
So
off.
you're just saying that this is a young woman that you had a sexual relationship with,
And
you're not sure if she was having sex with other people as well.
Her girlfriend pulled me to the side and told me she was seeing some other light-skinned black guy at the same time she was laying there with me. And I ain't got no reason to lie. I ain't trying to make myself look good. I got
Mr.
7 kids,
Jones,
about 7 different women.
Because you had 2 of your daughters up there. Their mothers are related, first cousins.
That's right.
Okay, and that's disgusting. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, I didn't know
2
they
of
were
his
cousins.
kids up there, their mothers are related. All you did,
All right.
you was up.
I didn't know they
Before
were
we
related.
get to all that, I want to bring Mr. Edwin in. Jerome, can you please escort Mr. Edwin into the courtroom, please? And Mr.
I'll take you up
Jones,
to the
if you could
witness
please
stand.
come and sit next to me here on the witness stand.
There you go up here on the left side.
Mr. Edwin, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the first time you've ever met or seen this man that could potentially be your father.
Correct.
What were you told?
I was about probably like 6, 7 years old. I'd asked my mom, who's my dad? She had pictures and stuff of him coming over when I was like months old. She told me, he has a lot of kids. You were probably like the least of his worries. So, that's why that man wasn't there.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You were only with his mother once.
One time.
Don't mean you ain't a father.
I might be the father. That's why I'm here. I need some closure on this, man. I ain't trying to deny y'all. I still have to pursue my dream because I wasn't about to stop and try to play house.
Come
Because that
on,
wasn't
man.
under me. And I
Oh,
never.
wait
I
a
never
minute. You said you're pursuing your dream, and it has turned into a nightmare for your potential children.
It was a nightmare
Now,
for me.
young man grew up with a picture of you. Now, you know that's not sufficient. You're not going to sit up here next to me and tell me that was sufficient, sir.
They've been taking out my check since '84 for these kids. So
that's
long as they got
That's
their
a
money,
lie.
That's a
long as they
lie.
got my financial support, I don't feel I needed to be there because I didn't trust their mom no way, and I had doubt that they were my kids. So why I had to be there? As long as they got income, I felt I shouldn't have to be there, and they was happy
Mr.
with
Jones.
that.
Okay, hold on. So even if you had doubt,
I had
then
doubt.
you
yeah.
know it was a possibility.
Mr. Jones, I have a son you haven't even met.
I know.
He's 5 years
he's
old.
beautiful.
You know?
I
He's
might
seen-
be his granddad. Like I said, it is what it is, man. I can't turn back what happened, but I'm not gonna neglect. I'm not gonna deny y'all. Like I said,
As a
now
father,
or never.
Regardless if you have a paternity test or not, you got to make sure your little dude who knows where he comes from.
That's
He
right.
knows where you come from. He knows your face.
I want you to share with this court, what was life like without your father?
Oh, life was tough. I was raised in a village, predominantly Native Americans, Alaskan Natives. Being half black and Native in a village with no other black kids around, I was never Native enough. And then when I went to the city where there are more black people, I was never black enough. And that hurts me, it crushed me for years. My mom, luckily, she was a strong woman, though. She taught me, that doesn't matter. I'm who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be a superstar and all this. She gassed me up so one day I could be something.
I think it's time for the court to dig in and try to understand the issues surrounding Ms. Hobson's paternity. Jerome, can you please escort Ms. Hobson into the courtroom, please? Ms. Hobson, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Jones has said he doubts paternity of not just you, but also Mr. Edwin and Ms. Jones, and I'd like to know directly from you. Were you brought up thinking this was your father? What are the circumstances that you remember as a child?
Well, growing up, I didn't realize I had another father other than my stepdad who raised me since, I was a baby. The way that I actually found out was I was playing with, some cousins, and one of our other siblings' younger sister was with us too, and we were bringing her home, and she had told me to go inside to meet my sister, and I'm confused, what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone inside and actually met hers. It was just really, really confusing, but it needed to be done eventually. And so when my mother had found out about that, that's when it was time to lay it all out on the table.
So she finally told you what?
She told me, look, this this is your sibling. You do have a biological father. He's just never there.
Go ahead, hon. I know it's difficult.
And so we actually called him, my other sister and I, because her mom had his number, and they had contact with him, and we made that phone call. That was the first time I ever heard his voice. That was the first time I ever knew about it.
And how old were you?
Probably around this time, 9.
Mr. Jones, do you remember getting this call?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your relationship with her mom?
We was gonna get married, and her mom was gonna move down to Georgia, but her kinfolks, they tricked her. They said they was gonna buy her a lot, and she was gonna take the money and move down there and meet up with me in Georgia with our baby, because I was there when Molly was born. But they tricked her, so she instead of moving down there in Georgia, she got with my coworker and started dating him. And so she told me Molly had a new dad now. So I drove from Georgia back to Alaska to get back, try to rekindle our relationship, because I love the mom, and I love Molly.
That is not the story I was told. That's
What were you told?
Of course.
I was told by this one story by you and also by my mother and the rest of my mother's family was the reason why they had split up. My family would not, my mother's the youngest of 14, so you can imagine how strong those family ties were. So they were not about to let her move across the country.
To Georgia?
With a brand new baby. God knows where we could have ended up. I don't know. And that's the same story that Mr. Jones has told me. And this is all.
So you're saying that the story he's saying right now about getting tricked by her family and not being able to come is not what he told you before?
Exactly. And the whole messing around with the coworker, no, that was not what I was told.
I've heard enough. I think it's time to hear the results so that we can know once and for all whether you all are or are not Mr. Jones's children. Jerome, may I have the envelope?
There you go, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have 3 different results today. The first one will relate to Mr. Edwin. In the case of Jones versus Jones, when it comes to the paternity of 29-year-old Mr. Clayton Edwin, Mr. Jones, you are his father.
I want to know from the heart, though, what's that mean to you?
It feels good. I mean, I feel good, you know.
It feels good?
Yeah, I feel good. I can't erase what's been done. I know I wasn't there for y'all when y'all was growing up, but I'm older now, and
I don't
I'm
think
still
the worst
alive,
of you.
and I feel like.
But I don't know you.
I know you.
You know, my heart, how am I going to accept a father that, in my eyes, you ain't man enough to even be a father?
Okay.
You running from being a father. Your whole life, you've been running from being a father, and that disrespects not only my mom, my possible siblings' mothers. It's just seems like you're a disrespectful dude, so why would I have you in my life? That's bad energy.
All right, man. I respect you, man. I respect what you say. You know, I ain't trying to
Mr.
sugarcoat
Edwin,
nothing.
we are going to talk about how to move forward, but I want to go to the next result so
I understand.
we can, of course, satisfy the questions your other potential siblings still have. The next result relates to Miss Hobson. In the case of Jones versus Jones, when it comes to the paternity of 24-year-old Ms. Molly Hobson, Mr. Jones, you are her father.
Just finding out now that he actually doubted it one little bit really it hurts.
I only doubt it because I didn't trust y'all mama.
Oh, man. That's getting old.
I mean,
But I'm just thankful I've got, the best stepfather that Mr. Jones ever said I could ever have. that they actually
And we
cared
do
enough
know
to-
you have one awesome brother standing right next to you. And that's a good thing. Our last result relates to Ms. Jones. In the case of Jones versus Jones, when it comes to the paternity of 37-year-old Ms. LaToya Jones, Mr. Jones, you are her father.
Can I get my big wheel now?
All of you young people, I'm sure, have a lot to say to your father, and we can say that now without a doubt. And Mr. Jones, you are a military man, and I want to say this court appreciates your service, but now it's time for you to do a service to your children. Now, you stood here and expressed your doubt. And in some instances, I could almost understand why a man that was a rolling stone, and we'll leave it like that, like you were never in one place long enough to understand what was going on. But ultimately, I need you to understand who lost. Who lost?
They lost throughout the year because I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
Exactly. As much as I believe Mr. Jones has done the wrong thing upon the wrong thing upon the wrong thing, and even though he has no clue how to correct it, I do think he understands that he was wrong. And ultimately, if you can find it in your hearts to sit down and just start with a conversation, if there's some way that he can play a role in your life now, if you want that, or maybe even your children's lives, because at the end of the day, he's their grandfather, and they have a right to know that. So I wish you all the best of luck. And I'm going to check on you.
Thank you.
All right? Court is adjourned.
Thank you.
Personally, I can't do nothing else but thank you because, you brought me into this world. You weren't there for me, which made me who I am today.
I really wish I could be in y'all lives, and I hope y'all forgive me for being such a dog at a young age.
I need to meet the rest of your kids, the rest of your family. I need to know where I come from, where our roots is, and so does my son.